everyone, and welcome to Whose Life Is It Anyway? A show where everything is made up, but the points actually do matter. If any of that sounds a little familiar, well, that's because yes, this is an improv comedy podcast where all the stories you're about to hear were completely made up on the spot, guided and prompted by real improv comedy games. How does it work? Well, two players are tasked with having a podcast-like interview or conversation, making it all up as they go, but there's a third guest who can interrupt at any time and give them new rules or new directions for their conversation via a list of different improv games and guidelines. How do you win? Well, if a player breaks character or simply doesn't follow the rules of the game they're in at the time, the other person is awarded a point, and at the end of a 20-minute time limit, the guest with the most points wins, and of course, becomes known to the world as a comedic genius. So, without any further ado, let's find out who's making stuff up in this episode. Are we ready to make this official and jump in and make this a real podcast?
Let's go.
Also that.
Also that.
Making a fire because it's freezing in here.
That's very fair. Mm-hmm. Well, let's make it happen. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Whose Life Is It Anyway? I am sitting here with two very wonderful guests, and I'm very excited to see what we make up here on this episode. I am sitting with my friends Leah and Cappy. Leah, welcome back. Cappy, welcome for the first time.
Thank you.
I am very, very excited to have you on this show,
Yes.
and I cannot wait to see what sort of, dare I say, chaos we get into in this episode. So if you're slightly unfamiliar or just unsure of what's about to happen here, well, I'm in the captain's chair for this episode, which means Leah and Cappy will both be tasked with coming up with a podcast-like interview or conversation, making up someone's life story right here, right now, on the spot as we go. But obviously, we can't do that. We can't get started until I assign you guys your roles and the theme for this episode. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into that. So for this one, this is what's going to go down. Leah, this is going to be your podcast, so you are the interviewer. Cappy, that means you're the guest. But the theme of this show, Leah, you have a mix of like a true crime unsolved mysteries podcast, okay? Cappy, you were recently a missing person. So you were an unsolved mystery, right? But you've recently returned. But from where is the important part? You were a missing person, but you were trapped in a Jumanji-like board game, okay?
Got it.
So you were trapped in that game world. You were trapped in a board game. It can be Jumanji. It can be whatever it is that you want it to be. But that's where you were. And now we're going to get to the bottom of what exactly happened and what your experience was like as a missing person. Are we ready? Let's solve this mystery, and let's make some stuff up. Leah, it's your show. Take it away.
Welcome back, folks. This is Where Were They Then? Where Are They Now? I have my brand new guest here, Cappy, and he's going to tell us all about his experience with being lost in a board game.
30 years.
Wow. And you haven't aged a bit.
I started putting on Nivea anti-aging cream since day one.
Wow. So it really works.
It works really well.
Wow. They have that new gummy bear line. I've been dying to try it. So they have that in the game. They have the Nivea.
Yeah, they have it.
What else do they have? Tell us all about it.
Well, I'll at least take you through the origin of how this all happened to me.
Yes.
One day after school, my friend Roger comes over and says, "Hey, I got this new board game." And I think, oh, is it Mousetrap? Is it Operation? No, it's this very strange looking briefcase. It looks dusty, it looks old, it looks dirty, it doesn't look fun. He opens it up and it's mysterious and it looks like some antique roadshow shit, and it's just this frightening aura that's coming from it. So he picks up the dice, he rolls it, and then before I fucking knew it, there was raining lizards all over my house. Wow. They were biting my face.
Change.
They were biting my feet.
Change.
They were biting my hair. And I have such gorgeous curls and gorgeous locks. I didn't want them to do that.
You do have great curls, Cappy. There's some great curls.
Anyway.
So it was raining lizards, the hair-eating lizards. Tell us what happened next.
Then before I knew it, me, Roger, and my friend Matt looked around to each other and we said, oh no, this isn't any normal board game. This is something much more sinister.
Did you think you should stop playing this game?
No, because honestly, it was kind of funny.
Oh, okay.
It was a little funny at first, because lizards, it was a little funny, but it was frightening.
Okay. Funny frightening.
Funny frightening.
Like scary movie.
So then we had to get a shovel from the garage, start shoveling the lizards out. Some of them we had to rehome, because some of them were cute, some of them were ugly. They went in the soup. Once all the lizards were out, we were a little freaked out. We didn't even realize that it was from the game at that point. We just thought, oh, lizard time!
So, after you got all of these lizards out of your home, how long did that take?
About 3 hours.
Change.
About 5 seconds. We're very efficient.
Wow. You should start an extermination company.
Yeah.
Change.
Wow, you should start a lizard oasis.
And we did. We started an LLC for undocumented lizards who
Wow.
had no homes. It was a very good deed we did.
All in that 5 seconds, too. That's efficient. That is
Yes.
efficient work.
I take a lot of Adderall,
So,
and it helps.
at this point, you've got lizards, you've got them out, you've got an LLC. How did you get stuck in this game?
Well, after the lizard rain, we looked around and we said, there's something more going on here. We rolled again. And before we knew it, we got sucked right into the game.
What did it feel like?
It felt like we were rats in a cage.
Change.
Felt like we were ducks in a box. Really scared ducks that had no business being in a box.
I'm so sorry. It seems like this is so hard for you.
We were scared.
Yeah. Did you have any idea of your surroundings, or was it just pitch black?
We had ideas of our surroundings.
Okay.
We were in this strange world of board games and lizard poop, and because there were a lot of them, and they pooped a lot, and we were in this just strange board game land. We looked around to each other and we thought, oh no, we have to finish this game if we want to get out of this sticky situation.
Pause. I'm going to interject with our first official game of this episode. I love where this is going. I love that we're getting to the bottom of this. I can't wait to hear what world we build with inside this board game here. But as we continue doing this, we're going to play the game Fortunately, Unfortunately, where each player must begin their sentence with either fortunately or unfortunately. Leah, I think you were about to respond to what he was going to say, so take it away.
So fortunately, you did make it out of the game, but we would love to hear, the listeners would just absolutely love to hear about your experience of when you arrived.
Well, unfortunately, because, it was after school, we were getting out of our school uniforms, we were all in our underwear. Because boys would be boys, we hang out in our underwear. So we were completely unequipped to deal with the problem at hand with clothes or so much as a weapon or so much as anything to help or protect ourselves.
So unfortunately, you were completely helpless in this situation, it sounds like, right? So tell us about what you did first.
Well, fortunately, both me and my friends Matt and Roger are very ripped, very glistening, very shiny and tan, 8-pack abs. We were in 8th grade too, so it really goes to show how dedicated we were to fitness at that time. So we felt confident that we could defend ourselves in this weird new world, but at the same time, there's no way we couldn't be a little scared even with our glowing, glistening glutes.
Unfortunately, I have a great mental image of this now. did you build shelter? What was there anything around? Tell me what your surroundings looked like.
Well, unfortunately, because we were trapped in the game and everything was giant, we didn't have a lot of resources. So we had to resort to using each other as tents and blankets. And that was kind of nice, not gonna lie.
Fortunately, you made it out of this game, right? Tell me, did your friends also make it out of this game?
I'm sorry, can I have a second?
Of course. Take all the time you need.
So on day 23 of us trying to navigate this game, Roger rolled a 5. So he went 5 spaces. And guess what he landed on? He got the vat of acid space.
Unfortunately, you just lost, but
I did. Fuck.
I
I lost my friend.
I didn't want to interrupt that
no, it was
beautiful
amazing.
acting.
It was amazing.
But technically, that is 1 point to Leah. Now things are getting crazy here. So let's go ahead. Let's keep finding out what happened to our friends here.
So after Roger had his very, very unfortunate roll.
Change. What do you think of his role?
So after he had this life-changing roll of a 5, it was just you and your friend Mike left, correct? What were you and Mike planning to do next?
His name was Matt.
Did you say was Matt?
Pause. Before we continue to explain what happened to Mike or Matt, we're going to do it using innuendos because we are about to play the game If You Know What I Mean, where each player must speak only using innuendos. Cappy, you are about to speak, so take it away.
Roger really got his bones boiled, if you know what I mean.
So you and Matt then were finally alone, if you catch my drift, with your 8-packs and your glistening glutes.
We had a lot of time to connect, if you know what I mean.
You could connect 4 or connect 2, if you catch my drift, in a world that's revolving around board games here.
Well, around day 48, we got pretty desperate and started searching for intimacy, if you know what I mean.
So, I give up.
Right, that means 1 point to Cappy. Continue your conversation as normal.
So, it sounds like Roger was the next one to roll. How many days until you guys rolled again?
Well, it took a long time to get to the dice, because we were very small.
Oh, okay. So you were small on this board.
Let me rephrase. Let me clarify. We got sucked into the board game.
Yes.
We were shrunk down to the size of a tiny little atoms, to where we were in the Jumanji game.
Yes.
Getting to the die was like a 5-month endeavor.
Wow.
We had to cross mountains of molecules, and we had to fight ants that were giant to us,
Wow.
just to get a chance to roll again.
Pause. I'm going to interject with our next game just because I know you're both capable of it. We are going to continue this conversation, but we are going to play accents only. And continue.
So then, me fucking friend, he gets to the goddamn die, you know, and then what does he do? He calls his mate. I forgot he got a cell phone this whole time. He had a cell phone and he forgot about it. So he tried to call my mum. She wouldn't answer, because guess what? Jumanji doesn't have Wi-Fi.
So you're telling me that he had a phone hidden in his drawers?
And he didn't even fucking tell me about it for goddamn we were in this game for like 2 months already, man.
And you're saying that you'd been in those drawers at some point and never found that there phone?
Not even once. So then we get to the fucking die, and he gets this bright idea to call his mum. She doesn't answer. And then we get into this big tuffle because I'm so mad. Why didn't he think to call somebody earlier? Even if it didn't work, why wouldn't he mention it to me? So then we get into this tiff, and then we went up. And then, long story short, we parted ways and said, you know what? I can go about this alone. I don't need you.
Change. What'd you say?
I said, I need you so badly. Don't leave. He was trying to leave, and I begged him. I pleaded. I said, I can't navigate this without you.
So how to keep his phone charged for that long?
I don't know. Beats me. But I will tell you what. The one thing about my mate is that he's always full of surprises. He's got plenty of secrets. So after I begged on my knees, please don't leave. I can't navigate this weird Jumanji board game without you. He looked at me and said, righto, let's do this. And then he embraced me. We had the most warm, chiseled hug you've ever felt. Imagine your 8-pack rubbing up against another 8-pack, creating a 16-pack. It's the best math. So, we made up. We decided we're going to roll this die. We're going to do it.
Pause. I'm going to interject another game. You can keep up the accents, but now we are going to play questions only. Continue.
All right, so who rolled next?
Shouldn't that be obvious? It was Matt.
So what did he roll?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Wouldn't you like the fans to find out?
If I told you he rolled a 3, would you be satisfied?
Can you explain what a 3 means in this world that you were stuck in?
I don't think you ever learn numbers. Oh, but what the fuck?
That was not a question, so that's another point to Leah. And you know what?
That was
While
a
we're
stinky brain
paused,
fart.
while we're paused here, I'm going to go ahead and interject with our next game. We are going to play Whose Line, where I am going to disperse 2 secret lines to each player that they must implement into their conversation sometime in the next few minutes. Guys, continue.
So, yeah, I'm not very good with numbers. I'm sorry, but could you tell me and the people listening? Can you tell us what happened when your pal there, rolled a 3?
Well, when he rolled a 3, we went 3 spaces.
That comes after 2, right? Am I?
I believe so.
Okay, I never learned my numbers, so.
Clearly. So we rolled a 3, man, right? So we get to the 3rd space. And then what happens? Rain. Everywhere. But it's not just rain.
More lizards?
It's LaCroix. It's limoncello LaCroix.
Change.
It's Aha. From Giant Eagle. You know, that one band that we have in Great Britain. So we were very worried.
So let me just get it straight. So it was raining a band or it was raining a flavored water?
It was raining the flavored water.
Okay.
Which was a very peculiar thing. It didn't seem like a thing that Jumanji would have.
How did you discover that it was this specific brand?
Well,
Was it just unmistakable?
Well, Matt was always a seltzer guy. He looked right at me when it started raining, and he told me, "Where did you hide the body?" And I broke down and cried, because I couldn't keep this secret anymore. I took Roger's body. I didn't give him a proper burial.
Wow. So you had been taken this body along with you the whole time. You didn't have any backpacks. Y'all didn't have any clothes. And he was hiding a phone, and you were hiding a whole body. That must have been very, very hard for you.
We went through a lot of trials and tribulations during that time.
You know what my mom always said? My mom always said to me when I was going through trials and tribulations when I was a young girl, she said, I'm too drunk for this shit.
That's what my mum said. She used to sit around in our flat, just drinking glass after glass. Never gave me any support after school. Maybe if she was there after the fact.
Mothers can make a huge difference in a child's life. I will stand by you in saying that. My mother had a drinking problem as well. And you know, I never did get an answer to that question about my trials and tribulations about what I should do. But what did you do in this moment?
I'm going to pause us. We have 5 minutes left in the game. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause us for just a second. I'm going to use a little bit of podcast producer powers here because we need to kind of get some more juicy details in this story because we really need to find out how you survived long enough in this world to eventually make it out. So one, keep in mind we got to wrap up this conversation within about 5 minutes. But second, I want to change up the story a little bit. While you were in this board game, while you were in this Jumanji-like world, the shelter that you found the most safety within in your final days, you found a giant. There was a giant human, or a giant creature, whatever you want to call it. And you took shelter all alone. All your friends eventually died. I'm assuming you found shelter, and it's gooch. And so I really want to make sure we cover that detail of how you housed yourself within this giant's gooch and survived, and then eventually made your way out. And of course, you each have one whose line still left to lose. So the clock begins to tick again now.
So let's talk about your exit from this nightmare.
Well, many years later, after the LaCroix, after the lizards, after the lightning, after the lions, we didn't even get to the lions. After all the shit we've been put through, me and Matt finally find something that's worthwhile. We find this beautiful, beautiful giant. We find this man who's just this absolute behemoth. Couldn't be any shorter than 14'9" or something. He looks at us and goes, "You guys lost?" And I go, yes, can you please give us some direction of how to get out of this horrible nightmare? And he looked right at me and he said, "I just killed that guy." And we went, "What?" and we look over, there's a dead body right there. And we were like, "Shit, man! Fucking hell! I thought you would be I thought you would be an ally. Turns out you're kind of a weirdo." But you know, he was the only resource we had, so we had to befriend him.
Wow. So you found this giant man who had just killed another giant man, and he was going to help you out of this game. So let's say how we got to the part where you left the game. Did he roll the die for you?
Well, that's exactly what happened, Leah. See, we were microscopic. The die was a normal size. So even to get the die rolling, we had to put all our might into it. But this giant could do it in one roll. So, through many months, through many, many, many years of trials and tribulations and trial and error, we finally got to the end of the game because of that giant. He would shelter us. He would nurture us. He would pick us up like little kittens and put us in his bosom and cradle us at night, just to feel something. Damn it! But then the final turn happened. I don't know if I can talk about that.
Wow, this reminds me of that episode of my favorite show with the giant. And you know what the giant used to say? "Do you want to try some of my homemade Sprite?" Did you ever try that giant's homemade Sprite? Cappy, did you ever try it?
It was the fizziest in all the land.
pause. We got a couple minutes left. We're going to go ahead and stack some games, try and rack up some points here. We're going to play Yes and, where each player must start their sentence with a form of yes and. And take it away.
Yes. And the giant was so generous with it. He would give us all the Sprite. He didn't want to give us mellow yellow or 7-Up or any of that bullshit, any of that bollocks. He gave us real lemon lime Sprite.
Yes, and so now, you know it's called something different, right?
What do you mean? I've been gone a long time. Oh, sorry.
There's another point to Leah. We have less than a minute left.
I'm lost in the sauce here. I can't focus on the game.
Here's what we're going to do.
I'm channeling my tragedy.
Just to keep frying your guys' brain, we're going to close this one down by playing number of words. Leah, you take 2 words. Cappy, you've got 4. And go.
What next?
The giant helped a lot.
He rolled?
He gave us shelter.
And then?
He taught me about myself.
That's he taught me.
He taught me about myself. So I can't count, and I can't.
That is
Okay, I can't count either.
one final point to Leah. As we come to the end.
My theater kid bullshit is coming out too hard. I can't focus
you know
on the
what?
games.
I feel like you really stole the show though, because even though like the points went to me, like that whole time I was just like riveted.
I don't know if there's ever
Riveted.
been someone on this show who is committed so hard to their character.
I loved that.
You really missed your imaginary friends, Matt and Robert.
Roger.
Mike.
Roger's
Robert and Mike.
Robert. It's
Robert
been
and
so
Mike.
long. Why not? Sure, it's Rob.
I love when Leah was like, so what happened to Mike? And all you could do, his name was Matt.
That was so good.
Just so upset. Well,
Oh my god.
as we know, this is an improv show where the points do indeed matter, and we have reached... I have a feeling the room is unsure over who won this one.
Go ahead, say it.
So, it is time to tally up the scoreboard. We'll take a look here at the very official scoreboard that I have here for Who's Life. Cappy, you brought home 1 point in this one.
Take that to the bank, baby.
You brought home 1 point. Not only were you stuck in a Jumanji-like board game,
Yeah.
but you scored 1 point in
Wow.
this one. But let's see what happened.
Cool.
Because we did play a handful of games. Who knows what could happen? Maybe this podcast is just as wacky as that board game world that you were stuck in.
Yes.
Leah, you racked up 4 points.
Wow.
So that means Leah takes this one home.
Congrats.
Leah, how do you feel?
I feel like I don't deserve this, honestly. I feel like every time we just started cracking up, he should have just been racking up more points. Truly.
Well,
truly,
take solace
it was
in-
an honor.
Take solace in knowing that you're right. You don't deserve it.
No, truly. That was so
He agrees
entertaining.
with you. He
So
very much
entertaining.
agrees
It's
with
okay.
you.
That's okay. That was fun. That was a good one.
That
Wow,
was a good
incredible. Cappy, one last question before we get ready to wrap this episode up. If you were going to name, I'm going to give you complete control here. Since we can't say it was Jumanji, I mean, we could, but it's less fun. If you were to name that board game that you were stuck in, now that we've lived in that world for a little bit, you experienced it, you went there in your mind, I saw the tears in your eyes while you were acting, what would you name that board game?
Hell and a Half 2.
Two.
Two.
Okay, so you guys had played the first one
Well,
already, or is this just like a yard sale thing where someone got it, thought it was cool?
Well, it was kind of like how, how some video games, like Fallout 3 like has Fallout 1 and 2, but like it's not the same game at all.
Okay,
but
yeah,
they just kind of
yeah.
come out with like
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
basically like it just started out the gate.
Hell
as
and a
2.
Half 2. Now, is this like number 2 or also 2?
This is
like
the number 2.
The
This is
number
the
2.
second
Okay,
time
so
we-
there was Hell and a Half the first time.
yeah,
This
but
is technically the second half
Yeah,
of
but
the yeah.
we don't talk
okay.
about the first time though. That's,
Right,
that's for
okay.
another interview.
That's for another episode. Well, folks, guys, what do you say we wrap this one up? I would love to play a game together.
Sure.
It's become a reoccurring theme here on the podcast. Dare I say a tradition at this point until I find some cooler games to wrap these up with. But for now, it's a tradition where we're going to form a goodbye to our lovely audience, whether they're listening or viewing at home with their eyeballs. Let's form the best goodbye we can using one word at a time, and we all three will play. I will kick us off
Which way are we going?
this way.
Okay.
Listen,
You
R.
very
important
2.
a
number
Of
people
every
person
who
has
subscribed.
will
receive
Lots.
of
candy,
And
also
jewelry.
Shit. What did you just set me up for? Well, folks, listen, if you go the extra mile, leave a rating and a review and follow us at Who's Life Pod, then maybe I will think about sending you candy and jewelry.
Send in your mail-in
If you take
rebate
it that far.
to Ross Thiessen.
Here's another
Ross
thing.
Thiessen.
Here's another thing you're going to learn as we wrap up this episode. That's
Oh,
not even how you say my
I
last
know
name.
that's not. You've told me this. You've told me that it's. Oh.
Change. How do you say my last name?
Oh, better than I just said it.
And that was another episode of Who's Life, folks.